So your typical Swiss is very timely, crazy timely. And you see it everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, there's a clock somewhere, a clock tower, a digital clock. And even by the second, they're very timely in everything that they do. The trains and buses almost always arrive perfectly on time. And it's just a different atmosphere because Americans, some of us are like that, but not like that. So they're very timely. Most of them, obviously there's the stereotype that Swiss are involved in banking, and that's not far off. A lot of them are involved in banking or business to some extent. A lot of them have daytime jobs from 8 to 5. And so sometimes when they tell you I don't have time, it's really because they don't have time. They may be trying to catch a bus that comes in 30 seconds, but you wouldn't know that because you're just catching them out of context. And you have to respect that a lot of Swiss people are timely, and they will just walk away if they have to. A huge phrase that you hear too, you hear, ich muss go arbeiten, which is like, I gotta go to work, you know. They're very aware that work comes first in their day-to-day lives. And if they're not like that, that's probably because either they're not Swiss or something's happened that's not normal. So yeah, just be aware that if a Swiss is in their normal routine, they'll be very timely, and they'll usually be going to or from work. And so that's the trick, is to find them when they're not going to and from work. So, as missionaries, we really have to take advantage of holidays, take a lot of advantage of meeting members with members and communicating with the members who's ready for the gospel. Because if you, like I said before about how Swiss really, their reputation and relationships are very important. In the same sense, if you can get a Swiss member to work with you and to meet with someone, that person that you meet with is going to be very respectful because they recognize that this member is their friend and they want to respect their friend. And so they'll meet with you and give you the utmost respect. The meetings that you have with the appointments that you have that were set with members are at least 10 times more effective than the ones that you just have casually on the street or that you kind of find yourself. Not to say that those can't be good. Sometimes great members come from that too, but definitely member work is very important. Like I said before, they're very family oriented, so the average Swiss person wants to be with their family. They want to be at home. They want to be comfortable. They want to be drinking hot tea. And they like their time alone. They like their family time. So sometimes if you interrupt that, even if it's for a good cause, say, to teach their family about Jesus Christ, they may not want it, and they may be like, this is family time. You need to go. And you respect that, and you go and talk to someone else. Swiss people are very nice. They love to please. They love to be on your good side. They're very, very friendly. Oh my goodness, they're so friendly. The problem that you have, though, and I think every mission can relate to some sort of almost, I want to say, social withdrawal that you're having, a barrier, so to say, is that they can be so nice that you mistake them for having interest in the gospel, when really they're just trying to be nice to you. Whereas the Germans, they'll just tell you if they don't want to talk to you, they'll just be like, hey, pass over, or like, get out of here. But the Germans, they'll continue to talk to you, or they'll have an excuse like, oh, ich habe keine Zeit, which you'll probably hear that more than anything in your mission. Ich habe keine Zeit, which means I don't have any time. But that's okay. It's a very passive way of saying I don't have interest. But you're going to have people that don't have interest wherever you go, so it's totally fine. The Swiss people are very family oriented. They care about their reputation. Almost like the Chinese do, they're very, very loyal to their ideals. I remember talking to this one woman. She'd been living, I served next to the burned temple for about, I want to say 4 months. And there was this woman that we knew very, very well. And she wasn't a member, but she lived next to that temple pretty much since the time it was built in the 50s. So we're talking about a 60-year time span of, meeting missionaries and rejecting missionaries and meeting missionaries and saying, you know what, I respect what you guys are doing, but it's not for me. And one time, I felt like when I was there, I got really close to this woman because I would see her almost irregularly a lot. And one time, I was talking to her about truth, and I just asked her, in German, of course, if you found out that this was true, would you do something about it? And she said, ehrlich nein, which means honestly no, I wouldn't. And that shows you how devout they are. They will live and die a lot of the times for what they are. And that's something that's very, very difficult, especially as Americans, for us to understand, that people in other countries will live and die for something even if they know it's not true. That's why it's super, super hard to talk to a devout Catholic. We used to work with a Catholic priest on our mission who knew the church was true. And for the life of him, he couldn't get himself to get baptized because he was too afraid of his reputation, of what his family would think, and ultimately what would happen to him. He was worried about himself, which is a hard thing. It's a hard thing for you to see someone who knows something's true and for them to reject it. And it happens a lot. It happens a lot. But that's something as a missionary in a European country, especially, I would say, southern Germany, Switzerland, and even Italy, that's one of the hugest barriers you have to overcome, is to realize even if they know it's true and don't accept it, I'm okay with it because it's their decision. Agency has always been the most important thing that we as missionaries have to respect. And it's hard. I mean, you devout to a person for 2-3 months, and you care about them and you love them, and sometimes they just don't want to change themselves. Yeah. However, it's better to know that someone believes in the church for personal reasons, even if they don't join the church, because then you know why it's so hard for the church to grow. It's not because it isn't truth. It's because people are very fixed in their ways and they don't change overnight. But it's reassuring. It really is. Because I think a lot of skeptics think that we just go there and we just don't help anyone, or because it's not true that no one wants to believe, or they just can't believe. But that's not how it is. Most of the people that you meet with and that you talk with on a regular basis, they will grow to appreciate the church. I met with one family where the wife was kind of the head hold. It was a strange situation, but we pretty much asked this woman, do you believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God? She would say yes. Do you believe that the church was restored in modern day through the prophet Joseph Smith, and that the Book of Mormon is the Word of God? She would say yes. Then we'd ask, will you abide by this truth and be baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? She would say no. And mentally, it just doesn't make sense at all. It really is hard. Even today, it's difficult for me to understand this concept, but I really think it comes down to fear. Fear of abiding by something that is hard, which ironically is something that we all struggle with in one way or another. You might know that the church is true, but you can still struggle with a simple problem. and you just refuse to give it up. So, it just teaches me that humanity is all facing similar problems wherever you go. So, but just like any missionary, I have a deep love for the Swiss people. So, because I understand them now,